December 26, 1980, 3:47 hours. Two United States Air Force security officers stand in Rendlesham Forest, circling a fallen object. Their hands touch the metallic surface. The watches stop. Sound cuts out. Even their breath freezes. When they open their eyes, for hours have passed, but they believe only 15 seconds went by. Strange symbols are burned into their skin, symbols they've never seen before. And by the end of this video, you'll see the reports that the British and American militaries have hidden for over 40 years. Welcome to Wartime Mysteries, where the shadows of history come alive. I'm your host, and tonight, we're diving into one of the most documented and controversial UFO encounters in military history. This isn't folklore. This isn't rumor. This is testimony from trained military personnel, backed by radar data, radiation readings, and classified documents that were only released decades later, some of them still redacted. What happened in Rendlesham Forest wasn't just a sighting. It was an interaction, and the men who experienced it were never the same. 2 nights later, December 28, 1980, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt stands in the same forest, watching his Geiger counter spike into the red zone. His hand trembles as he holds the tape recorder closer to his mouth. We have a strange, small red light. It's coming this way. His voice cracks. Behind him, 3 objects split the sky, sending beams of light directly onto the nuclear weapon storage facility. His men are backing away. Some are praying. One is crying. Halt is a skeptic, a career officer, a man who deals in facts. But right now, facts have abandoned him, and he's about to understand what his men tried to tell him 2 nights ago. Some things don't follow the rules. Some things stop time itself. But this story doesn't start here. It starts 48 hours earlier. RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, twin Royal Air Force stations located in Suffolk, England, just a few miles from the North Sea. In 1980, these weren't just ordinary air bases. They were home to the 81st Tactical Fighter Wing of the United States Air Force. Cold War tension was at its peak. Soviet submarines prowled the Atlantic. The threat of nuclear war hung over Europe like a storm cloud that never broke. And here in these twin bases, beneath innocent-looking bunkers and behind chain-link fences, sat some of NATO's most powerful weapons: tactical nuclear warheads, cruise missiles, assets capable of turning Eastern Europe into ash within minutes. The men stationed here weren't weekend warriors. They were career military. Security police trained to shoot first and ask questions later. Radar operators who could track a sparrow at 10,000 feet. Nuclear weapons technicians with top-secret clearances and psychological evaluations every 6 months. These were people trained to remain calm under pressure, to follow protocol, and to report accurately. They had seen combat. They had handled crises. They knew the difference between a threat and a false alarm. And on the night of December 26, 1980, they reported something that would challenge every assumption they had about reality. December 26, 1980, 0:47 hours. Airman First Class John Burroughs is 23 years old and freezing his ass off. Oklahoma native, 3 years into his Air Force career. Security police. Tonight, he's drawn the shit shift, Eastgate Patrol. The worst rotation. The forest side, where the tree line presses right up against the fence, and every shadow looks like a Soviet infiltrator. He walks his route with his M16 slung over his shoulder, breath fogging in the December cold. Christmas was yesterday. Most of the base is sleeping off turkey and cheap beer. Skeleton crew. Quiet night. Or it should be. Then he sees the lights. At first, he thinks it's a vehicle. Maybe a truck crashed in the forest. Headlights at weird angles. But the lights are wrong. They're moving. Pulsing. Red. Blue. White. Dancing between the pines like they're alive. Like they're playing. He stops walking. Stares. Blinks hard. Maybe he's tired. Maybe the cold is getting to him. But the lights don't disappear. They get brighter. Closer. And there's no sound. No engine. No rotors. No cracking branches. Just silence. And light. And the slow creeping certainty that something is very, very wrong. He keys his radio. Central, this is Eastgate. I don't know what I've got. Lights in the forest. Moving lights. Over. Static. Then a voice. Bored. Annoyed. Eastgate. Probably poachers. Keep eyes on. We'll send someone. Out. But Burroughs doesn't think it's poachers. Poachers use flashlights. This is something else. He watches the lights move deeper into the forest. Toward the base. Toward the weapon storage area. He keys the radio again. Central. Lights are moving toward Whiskey's sector. Request immediate backup. Over. This time, the voice isn't bored. Copy Eastgate. Stand by. Within 5 minutes, Staff Sergeant Jim Peniston arrives. 30 years old. 10 years in the Air Force. Career man. Calm under pressure. The kind of NCO who solves problems before they become problems. He pulls up in a Jeep, steps out, and walks to the fence line where Burroughs is standing. Show me. Burroughs points. Peniston follows his finger and freezes because he sees them too. The lights. Moving. Pulsing. Impossibly bright in the darkness. He watches for a full minute in silence. His mind is racing through possibilities. Aircraft. Helicopters. Vehicle headlights. But none of them fit. None of them explain what he's seeing. Lights that move independently. That change colors. That pulse with intention. Finally, he makes the call. We're going in. Airman Edward Kabansag joins them. 21 years old. New Jersey native. Smart kid. Good with cameras. Photography is his hobby. He's always carrying his Minolta 35mm. When Peniston calls for a third man, Kabansag volunteers immediately. Grabs his camera from his locker. Fresh roll of film. 36 exposures. If there's something out there, they're going to document it. 3 men. Flashlights. Radios. Sidearms. And 1 camera. Standard patrol loadout, plus documentation capability. They pass through the East Gate and enter Rendlesham Forest on foot. The gate guard watches them disappear into the darkness. Makes a note in the log. 3 personnel departing on patrol. Time, 1 o'clock hours. He has no idea what he's just witnessed. The beginning of something that will haunt these men for the rest of their lives. The moment they cross the fence line, something changes. The air feels heavier. Thicker. Like walking through invisible water. Like atmospheric pressure, just increased 10 pounds per square inch. Their ears pop. Their breathing becomes labored. Every step forward requires more effort than it should. Like gravity itself is stronger here. Like they're wading through something denser than air, but thinner than water. Something that shouldn't exist. Peniston feels it first. The resistance. The wrongness. He's walked these woods 100 times on patrol. He knows what they should feel like. This isn't it. Their radios start crackling. Static. Voices cutting in and out. But not just static. Underneath the white noise, there are other sounds. Whispers. Or maybe not whispers. Maybe just the radio picking up interference from something nearby. Something electromagnetic. Something powerful enough to drown out their transmission to base. Peniston tries to call in. Central, we are proceeding into the forest to investigate. We'll maintain radio contact. Over. The response is garbled. Broken. Words coming through backwards. Syllables reversed. Like the signal is being scrambled by something between them and the base. Something that doesn't want them communicating. Copy, Ference. Careful back. They keep walking. Because turning back is an option. Not yet. Not until they know what they're dealing with. That's the job. That's what they trained for. The forest closes around them. Ancient oaks that have stood for centuries. Dense pines that block out the stars. Undergrowth thick enough to hide anything. Their flashlight beams cut weak paths through the darkness. But the beams don't reach as far as they should. The light is being absorbed by something. Eaten by the darkness. Like the forest itself is drinking the illumination. Swallowing it. Peniston notices this. Makes a mental note. Abnormal light absorption. Could indicate fog. Could indicate smoke. Could indicate something else. Something that absorbs electromagnetic radiation. The lights ahead are still visible. Still moving. Growing brighter as they approach. But now there's something else. A smell. Sharp. Metallic. Like burning copper mixed with ozone. The smell you get after lightning strikes close. But stronger. More pungent. Mixed with something organic. Something that reminds Burroughs of the time found a dead deer 3 days dead in Oklahoma summer heat. Sweet. Rot. Wrong. But also something else. Something he's never smelled before. Something that makes his hindbrain scream danger. His fight-or-flight response is screaming flight. But his training screams fight. Stand your ground. Assess the threat. Report back. That's the job. Peniston's gut is screaming at him to turn around. Every instinct honed by years of military service is telling him this is wrong. This is danger. This is not a drill. The hair on the back of his neck is standing up. His skin is crawling. His heart is racing. Adrenaline is dumping into his system. His body is preparing for combat. But he keeps walking. Because that's the job. You walk toward the threat. You identify it. You neutralize it. That's what they trained you for. That's what separates professionals from civilians. Professionals move toward danger while everyone else runs away. He's been in combat. He's been shot at. He's seen friends die. He knows fear. This is different. This is primal. This is something deeper. Something older. Something that bypasses conscious thought and speaks directly to the animal part of his brain that knows when a predator is near. They walk for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20, maybe an hour. Time feels strange, elastic, like it's stretching and compressing randomly. Like seconds last minutes and minutes pass in seconds. Like someone is playing with a speed control on a tape deck. Fast forward, slow motion, normal speed, random, unpredictable. Burroughs checks his watch. 1:15. They've been in the forest for 15 minutes, according to his watch. But it feels like 5 minutes. Or 5 hours. He can't tell anymore. The normal markers of time passage don't work here. His body's internal clock is malfunctioning. Confused. Lost. The lights are close now. Just ahead. Through a clearing. Maybe 30 yards. Maybe 10. Distance is as unreliable as time. Perspective is warped. Depth perception is failing. And then they see it. Peniston stops first. Holds up his hand in a fist. Military signal for halt. Halt. His voice is barely a whisper, but it cuts through the strange silence like a knife. Burroughs and Kabansag freeze instantly. Training taking over. They stare. Because what they're looking at doesn't make sense. Doesn't fit. Doesn't belong in this forest. In this country. On this planet. In this reality. At first, Peniston thinks it's wreckage. A plane crash. Soviet aircraft maybe. Shot down. Crashed. Debris scattered. Branches broken. But as they get closer, as their eyes adjust, as their brains try to process what they're seeing, the debris resolves into something else. An object. Intact. Whole. Undamaged. Pristine. Hovering about 3 feet off the ground. Not resting on landing gear. Not sitting on the forest floor. Not supported by anything visible. Hovering. Suspended. Floating. With nothing visible holding it up. No cables. No supports. No jets. No engines. No propulsion system. Just suspended in midair like gravity doesn't apply to it. Like physics forgot this object exists. Silent. Completely silent. No engine noise. No humming. No vibration. Nothing. Just presence. Unmoving. But radiating light. Soft. Amber. Warm. Like late afternoon sunlight through honey. Like liquid gold. Like something that shouldn't be possible but is. The object is roughly triangular. Maybe 9 feet wide at the base. 6 feet tall. Hard to measure accurately in the dim light, and with the way the object seems to shift slightly when you look directly at it. Like your eyes can't quite focus on it properly. Like it exists slightly out of phase with normal reality. Like it's not entirely here. The surface is smooth. Metallic. But not like any metal he's ever seen. Not steel. Not aluminum. Not titanium. Not anything in the periodic table. It doesn't reflect light the way metal should. It absorbs it, drinks it, swallows it, and glows from within. Like the metal itself is luminescent. alive, organic despite being clearly technological. The surface ripples occasionally, like liquid, like mercury, but solid, contradictory, impossible. Kabansag raises his camera. His hands are shaking. His breathing is rapid, shallow. He's trying to stay calm, stay professional. Document. That's his job right now. Should I shoot, Sarge? His voice cracks on the last word, fear breaking through professional composure. Peniston nods, doesn't take his eyes off the object. Yeah, document everything. Multiple shots, different angles. We need proof. Click. The flash fires. Bright, blinding in the darkness. The object pulses in response. Once, twice, like it noticed, like it's aware of being photographed, like it's acknowledging them, recognizing their presence, responding to their attention. Jesus Christ, Kabansag whispers. It reacted. Did you see that? It reacted to the flash. His voice is higher now, tighter, fear winning. Peniston nods. I saw it. Keep shooting. We need documentation. But his own voice is strained, because something that reacts to a camera flash is something that perceives, something that's aware, something that's intelligent. Burroughs keys his radio, tries to call base, update them, request backup, request instructions, request someone to tell them what the hell they're supposed to do. Nothing. Just static. White noise. Like something is jamming the signal, actively preventing communication, deliberately isolating them. Comms are dead, he says, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. Can't raise base. We're on our own. Peniston checks his radio. Same. Dead air. Complete signal loss. They're alone. Cut off. Isolated. No backup. No support. No extraction if this goes wrong. No one even knows where they are right now. Stay together, Peniston orders. We document and get out. Nobody does anything stupid. Nobody takes unnecessary risks. We observe. We record. We report. That's it. Standard procedure. By the book. Except there is no book for this. There's no training for this. There's no protocol for this. They're making it up as they go. But Peniston's curiosity is stronger than his training. Stronger than his fear. Stronger than his orders to himself. He's always been like this. Always needed to know. Always had to understand. It's what makes him a good NCO. It's also what's about to change his life forever. He takes a step forward. Then another. Slow. Deliberate. Controlled. Burroughs grabs his arm. Fingers digging in. Desperate. Sarge, maybe we should wait for backup. Call it in. Let someone higher up make the call on approach distance. Peniston shakes him off, gently but firmly. We are the backup, Burroughs. There's nobody higher up who knows what this is. Nobody higher up is here. And we need to know what this is. That's our job. That's why they pay us. He keeps walking. 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps. He's 10 feet away now. 8, 6. The object seems larger up close, more imposing, more present. The glow intensifies as he approaches. Not brighter, warmer. The color shifts slightly, more golden, more inviting, like the object is responding to his presence, welcoming him, inviting him closer, calling to him without words, without sound, just presence, just invitation, just certainty that he needs to touch it, must touch it. Cannot touch it. The compulsion is overwhelming, irresistible. He reaches out his hand. His fingers hover inches from the surface. He can feel heat radiating from it. Not burning heat. Body heat. Human heat. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Like touching another person's skin. And beneath the heat, vibration. A low-frequency hum that he feels in his bones more than hears. Maybe 20 hertz. Maybe lower. Below the threshold of hearing, but strong enough to feel. Strong enough to resonate with his skeleton, his teeth, his skull. The fillings in his molars are vibrating. The air around the object tastes strange. Metallic. Electric. Like licking a 9-volt battery. Like touching your tongue to aluminum foil with a filling in your mouth. Sharp, unpleasant, wrong. His hand trembles, hesitates. His brain is screaming at him to pull back, to retreat, to run. But his curiosity is stronger. His need to know, his need to understand. And then he makes the decision that will haunt him for the rest of his life. He touches it. The moment his fingers make contact, everything stops. Sound cuts out. Complete silence. Absolute. Total. Not even the whisper of wind through the trees. Not even his own breathing. Not even his heartbeat. Not even the blood rushing through his ears. Nothing. Void. Absence of sound so complete it's like being underwater. Like being buried alive. He tries to turn his head but can't. He's frozen. Locked in place. Paralyzed. Every muscle rigid. Unresponsive. But his mind is racing. Screaming. Trapped in a body that won't obey. Trapped in a prison of flesh that refuses to move. The surface under his fingers is warm. Almost hot. And it's vibrating. Pulsing. Not mechanically. Not like a machine. Organically. Like a living thing. Like it's alive. Like it has a heartbeat. Like it's breathing. 1 pulse per second. Rhythmic. Steady. Calm. Like whatever this thing is isn't stressed. Isn't alarmed. Isn't threatened. Just curious. Just observing. Just studying him as much as he's studying it. Two intelligences meeting. Touching. Connecting. Communicating in a language that has no words. Images flood his mind. Not images exactly. Information. Data. Knowledge. Raw information. Streaming directly into his consciousness like someone opened a tap and poured raw data directly into his skull. Bypassing his eyes. Bypassing his ears. Bypassing his normal senses entirely. Direct neural upload. Brain-to-brain connection. Or brain to whatever this thing has connection. He sees symbols. Geometric patterns that shift and rotate in 3 dimensions. 4 dimensions. Dimensions he doesn't have names for. Dimensions he doesn't have words for. Circles. Triangles. Polyhedrons. Tesseracts. Hypercubes. Shapes that fold in on themselves in ways that hurt to look at. Ways that shouldn't be possible in 3-dimensional space. Lines connecting in impossible ways. Angles that shouldn't exist. Mathematical equations he doesn't recognize. Constants that aren't pi or e or the speed of light. Formulas that describe physics he's never learned. Physics that might not exist in this universe. Binary sequences. 1s and 0s cascading through his vision like digital rain. Like the Matrix before the Matrix exists. Faster and faster. Too fast to track. Too fast to consciously process. Too fast to understand. But somehow he knows he's recording them. Somehow his mind is capturing every detail. Every bit. Every byte. Storing them. Burning them into his neurons. Encoding them into his synapses. Into his DNA. Making them permanent. Unforgettable. Unalterable. Part of him now. Forever. His hand begins to burn. Not pain exactly. Not yet. Heat. Intense heat radiating from his palm up his arm. Building. Intensifying. He looks down and sees his skin glowing. Actually glowing. Emitting light. Reddening. Blistering. Patterns forming on his palm. Lines. Circles. Symbols. The same symbols he's seeing in his mind are being etched onto his flesh. Burned into his skin. Like a brand. Like a cattle brand heated in a fire and pressed into flesh. Like a tattoo being applied by invisible needles of pure heat. Like a laser is writing on his skin. Carving. Burning. Marking. The patterns glow. Burn. Sear. His skin is blistering. Bubbling. The smell of burning flesh. His burning flesh. His own body cooking. But there's no pain. No agony. Just heat. Just pressure. Just the overwhelming sense that something is being written on him. Into him. Through him. That he's being marked. Tagged. Identified. Claimed. Cataloged. Recorded. The heat intensifies. Spreads. Up his arm. Across his chest. Down his spine. Through his torso. Into his legs. His entire body is burning now. Glowing from within. Like he's being lit from the inside. Like his cells themselves are producing light. like he's being rewritten at the cellular level, at the genetic level, like his DNA is being edited, resequenced, changed, upgraded, or corrupted, or marked, or tagged. He doesn't know which, can't know which, won't know which until later, much later, when the effects become clear, when the changes manifest, when the symptoms appear. Then time snaps back. Sound rushes in like a wave, like someone unmuted the universe, like reality itself was paused and now it's playing again. He gasps, lungs burning, drawing in air like he hasn't breathed in minutes. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe time stopped for him, but not for his body. Maybe his cells were dying while his consciousness was frozen. He stumbles backward, falls, lands hard on the frozen ground. The impact drives the air from his lungs. Stars explode across his vision. Pain, finally pain. Sharp, real, grounding. He lies there, stunned, confused, disoriented, trying to process what just happened, trying to understand, trying to remember, trying to forget, both at once. He looks at his hand. It's red, angry red, blistered, covered in strange markings, geometric patterns, symbols, circles and triangles and lines that connect in ways that make his eyes hurt when he tries to follow them. They're raised, embossed into his skin, burning, tingling, like he touched a live wire carrying 1,000 volts, like he grabbed an electric fence. But there's no pain, not anymore, just warmth, just certainty that something was put inside him, downloaded, uploaded, implanted, some kind of information, some kind of message, some kind of code, burned directly into his neurons, information encoded into his synapses, data written into his brain in a format he can't read, but his subconscious understands. Maybe. Burroughs is shouting, running toward him. Sarge, Sarge, can you hear me? Talk to me, man. Are you hit? Are you hurt? Peniston blinks, tries to focus. His vision is blurry, doubled. Colors are wrong, too bright, too saturated, like someone cranked up the contrast and saturation on reality. Yeah, I'm okay. But he's not okay. Nothing about this is okay. He's fundamentally changed, altered, different, at the molecular level. He can feel it. He fumbles for his notebook, the small green military-issue notebook he always carries. Pulls it out with shaking hands that barely respond to his commands. Fingers that feel numb and hypersensitive at the same time. Opens it to a blank page and starts drawing. Has to draw. Must draw. Can't not draw. The symbols. The patterns. Fast. Frantic. Automatic. His hand moves across the page without conscious thought. Without deliberate control. Like someone else is guiding it. Like he's a puppet and something else is pulling the strings. Like he's been programmed. Hijacked. Used. He fills 2 pages. 3. 4. The symbols pour out of him like water from a broken dam. Like blood from a wound. Binary code mixed with geometric patterns. Circles within triangles, within squares, within hypercubes. Mathematical sequences he doesn't recognize. Equations that describe physics he's never studied. Physics that might not exist. 16 pages in total. Page after page of information he doesn't understand but knows is important. Knows is true. Knows must be recorded. Must be preserved. Must be shared. Eventually. When the time is right. When humanity is ready. If humanity is ever ready. If humanity survives long enough to be ready. When it's finally done. When the last symbol is drawn. When the compulsion releases him like a puppet with cut strings. The pen falls from his fingers. He looks at what he's drawn and doesn't recognize it. Can't read it. Can't understand it. The symbols are foreign. Alien. Wrong. Not human. Not of this world. But beautiful in their own way. Elegant. Efficient. Perfect. Like mathematics given visual form. Like information compressed into pure pattern. Like poetry written in a language that has no words. He knows it's important. Knows it means something. Knows he was chosen to carry this. But why him? Why this night? Why this forest? Why this planet? He doesn't know. May never know, but he knows he'll carry it for the rest of his life, that these symbols will haunt him, that he'll see them every time he closes his eyes, that they'll burn in his mind until the day he dies, and maybe beyond. Maybe they'll outlive his body. Maybe they're written so deep that even death won't erase them. Kabansag helps him to his feet. His legs are shaking, unsteady, like he just ran a marathon, like his body expended enormous energy during those frozen moments. "We need to get back," Kabansag says, his voice urgent. "Scared. Whatever that thing is, we've documented it. We've got photos. We've got your testimony. Let's get back to base and report." Peniston nods, doesn't trust his voice. They turn to leave. But as they do, Peniston looks back one more time. The object is still there, still glowing, still hovering, silent, watching, waiting. He feels it watching him, studying him, like it knows him now, like they're connected, linked, bonded in some way he doesn't understand. The three men retreat through the forest. The journey back feels shorter, or maybe time is still behaving strangely. Maybe it never stopped. Maybe it will never be normal again. Not for them. Not after tonight. They emerge from the tree line at 3 o'clock hours. 2 hours in the forest. But Peniston's watch says 3:45. He checks it twice. Taps the crystal. But the time doesn't change. 45 minutes are missing. Unaccounted for. Lost. They all check their watches. All showing the same thing. Missing time. A phenomenon that none of them can explain. They report to the base commander. Lieutenant Colonel Halt isn't on duty tonight, but the duty officer listens to their story with increasing skepticism. He looks at Peniston's burned hand, at the markings, at the notebook filled with symbols, at Kabansag's camera. "You're telling me you found a UFO in Rendlesham Forest?" His tone is flat, disbelieving. "Yes, sir," Peniston responds, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. "We documented it. We have physical evidence. Radiation burns. Photographs. Written testimony." The duty officer sighs. "Get yourselves checked out by the medic. Write up your reports. I'll pass this up the chain. But don't expect anyone to believe you." He's right. Most won't believe. Most will dismiss it. Most will try to explain it away. But some will know the truth. Some will understand what happened that night. And 2 nights later, they'll get proof that Peniston, Burroughs, and Kabansag weren't hallucinating. They weren't mistaken. They weren't crazy. December 28th, 1980, 22:30 hours. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt stands at his office, reading the reports from 2 nights ago. He's a skeptic by nature, a career officer who doesn't believe in UFOs or little green men. But multiple airmen have now reported strange lights in the forest, and the base commander wants someone senior to investigate, to put this nonsense to rest once and for all. Halt assembles a team, 6 men, himself included. They take measurement equipment, Geiger counters, cameras, tape recorders. If there's something in that forest, they'll document it properly, not like the confused ramblings of junior airmen who probably saw nothing more than a lighthouse beam or a farmer's tractor. They enter the forest at 2300 hours. Halt carries a microcassette recorder. He narrates as they walk. Professional, detached, scientific. We're approaching the area where the first sighting occurred. Air temperature is approximately 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Light wind, clear sky. They reach the clearing, and immediately the Geiger counter begins clicking. Slowly at first, then faster. Halt stops, stares at the device. We're getting readings. 0.1 milliroentgens, 0.2, 0.3. Normal background radiation is 0.01. They're getting readings 30 times normal. His heart begins to race despite his skepticism. We're moving toward the area where the object supposedly landed. The Geiger counter goes wild, rapid clicking, almost a continuous tone. 0.8 milliroentgens. Jesus Christ. 0.9. We need to be careful here. His men back away, fear in their eyes. Halt moves the Geiger counter across the ground. 3 distinct points of elevated radiation, forming a triangle, approximately 9 feet on each side. exactly where Peniston said the craft had been. There are 3 holes in the ground, indentations, each about 3 inches deep. They form a triangle. He measures them, records the dimensions, takes photographs. This isn't imagination. This is physical evidence. Something was here, something heavy, something that left radiation behind. We're moving deeper into the forest now, heading east. They walk. The Geiger counter continues clicking, following a trail, like something walked through here, or flew, leaving traces of radiation in its wake. Then one of his men shouts, "Sir, lights, in the trees." Halt looks up and freezes, because he sees them. Multiple lights, red, blue, white, moving between the trees. Just like the airman described, we have lights, multiple lights. They're moving. I can't determine distance. They appear to be half a mile away. Maybe more, maybe less. His voice is shaking now. The professional detachment crumbling. There's one light to the south, very bright. It's coming through the trees, coming toward us. The light grows brighter, closer. His men are backing away. Some are praying. One is actually crying. Halt stands his ground, recorder held in trembling hands. We have a strange small red light. It appears to be maybe a quarter to a half mile away. It's moving through the trees. We're approaching it. But as they move toward it, it moves away, always staying the same distance, like it's leading them, guiding them, playing with them. Then everything changes. The red light splits, becomes multiple objects. 5, 6, 7. They spread across the sky, moving with impossible speed, making right-angle turns, stopping instantly. They're moving overhead now. Multiple objects. They're silent, completely silent. No engine noise. Nothing. His voice is barely a whisper now. Fear winning. Then one of them stops, hovers directly above the weapons storage facility, the place where NATO's nuclear arsenal is kept, and it sends down a beam of light, a bright white beam that illuminates the entire area, like a spotlight, like it's scanning, searching, recording. It's sending down a beam. Jesus Christ, it's sending down a beam onto the weapons storage area. Halt's hands are shaking so badly, he nearly drops the recorder. The implications are terrifying. This isn't just a UFO sighting. This is a security breach, a potential act of espionage, or something worse, something he doesn't have words for. The beam stays for maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Time has become unreliable again. Then it cuts off. The object shoots away, gone in an instant, faster than any aircraft, faster than anything man-made. The other objects follow, one by one, disappearing into the night sky, leaving only silence, and 7 men standing in a forest, trying to process what they just witnessed. Halt stops the recorder. His hands are still shaking. He looks at his men, sees his own fear reflected in their eyes. We document everything. We write detailed reports. We tell no one outside the chain of command. Understood. They nod, mute, traumatized, changed. They return to base at 4:15 hours. Halt goes directly to his office, sits at his desk, stares at the tape recorder. He knows what he saw, knows what his Geiger counter recorded, knows what his men witnessed. But he also knows no one will believe him. No one wants to believe this. It's too disruptive, too frightening, too paradigm-shattering. He writes his report anyway. Detailed, precise, professional. He includes the radiation readings, the physical evidence, the multiple eyewitness testimony. He sends it up the chain of command and waits for the response that will never come. January 13th, 1981, 2 weeks after the incidents, Halt receives orders to submit a formal memorandum to the Ministry of Defense. He types it carefully. Early in the morning of December 27th, 80, 2 USAF security police patrolmen saw unusual lights outside the back gate at RAF Woodbridge. The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object in the forest. The object was described as being metallic in appearance and triangular in shape, approximately 2 to 3 meters across the base. It illuminated the entire forest with a white light. The object had a pulsing red light on top and a bank of blue lights underneath. He continues typing. The next day, 3 depressions were found where the object had been sighted. The following night, the area was checked for radiation. Beta/gamma readings of 0.1 milliroentgens were recorded with peak readings in the 3 depressions. He signs the memo, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, and sends it to the Ministry of Defense, where it will be filed, classified, buried, for nearly 2 decades. The official response comes 3 weeks later. Brief, dismissive. The events described do not appear to pose any threat to national security. No further investigation is warranted. That's it. No follow-up. No analysis. Nothing. Just a bureaucratic brush-off. But Halt can't forget. Peniston can't forget. Burroughs can't forget. Because what they experienced was real, physical, and it changed them. Over the following months, Peniston begins experiencing health problems, severe headaches, insomnia, nightmares filled with symbols. He wakes up in cold sweats, pages filled with binary code he doesn't remember writing. His hand still bears the scars, faint now, but visible, the geometric patterns permanently etched into his skin. Military doctors have no explanation. Chemical burn, one suggests, but none can explain the perfect geometric precision. None can explain the binary code that keeps flowing from his pen. Burroughs develops similar problems. Memory gaps, time distortions, a sense that reality itself has become unstable. He sees things out of the corner of his eye, shadows that move when they shouldn't. His wife notices the change. "You're different," she tells him. "Something happened to you in that forest." But he can't explain it. How do you tell someone that touching an alien craft rewired your brain, that time itself bent around you, that you were marked by something not of this world? The story stays buried for 17 years. Then in October 2000, the British Ministry of Defense releases previously classified UFO files. Among them is Lieutenant Colonel Halt's memo. Suddenly, the Rendlesham Forest Incident is front-page news. Britain's Roswell, they call it. The most credible UFO case in history. Multiple military witnesses, physical evidence, radiation readings, official documentation, all previously classified, all now public. Peniston and Halt go public. The skeptics come out in force. Lighthouse beam, some say. Misidentified aircraft, others claim. Mass hallucination, the debunkers insist. But none of these explanations account for the physical evidence, the ground indentations, the radiation readings, the audio recording, the symbols burned into Peniston's hand, the missing time. In 2010, something extraordinary happens. Peniston finally decides to decode the binary sequences he's been compulsively writing for 30 years. He works with a computer programmer. They convert the binary into ASCII code and stare at the screen, because the binary produces coordinates, geographic coordinates, 16 sets of them, each pointing to a specific location on Earth. Hi Brazil, Sedona, Arizona, the Great Pyramid of Giza, Nazca Lines, the Grand Canyon. Each location has significance, historical, spiritual, archaeological. But why? What's the message? The final part of the binary message contains words: exploration of humanity, continuous for planetary advancement. Eyes of your eyes. Exploration suggests observation, study, like humanity is being watched, monitored, recorded. Maybe Peniston is a carrier, a vessel, a living time capsule containing information meant for future generations. Maybe it's written into his DNA now, waiting, dormant, until humanity evolves enough to access it. In 2014, Burroughs develops serious health problems, congestive heart failure. At age 52, he files for VA benefits, but the Air Force responds that his medical records are classified. Classified, his own medical records, from 34 years ago, still classified. Finally, in 2015, Senator John McCain's office intervenes, and quietly, Burroughs receives his VA benefits, without explanation. without his medical records being declassified, which means someone somewhere reviewed his case and agreed. Yes, what happened to him in Rendlesham Forest caused lasting physical harm. The government won't say what, won't admit anything publicly, but they paid, and payment is acknowledgement. Today, 45 years later, the Rendlesham Forest Incident remains unexplained. The witnesses are still alive, still talking, still showing their scars. Peniston still has the symbols burned into his hand, still wakes up writing binary code. Halt still has his audio recording, still insists that what he saw was real. Burroughs still has his health problems, still feels the effects of whatever he was exposed to. And the forest is still there. You can visit it, walk the same paths. There's even a trail now, the UFO trail, a tourist attraction. People come from around the world with EMF detectors and Geiger counters. Most leave disappointed, but some report strange sensations, time distortions, electronic malfunctions, a feeling of being watched. Maybe it never left. Maybe it's still there, hidden, waiting. Or maybe it accomplished what it came to do. Made contact, marked certain individuals, downloaded its data, and left. One thing is certain. Something happened in Rendlesham Forest in December 1980. Something that left physical evidence. Something that affected multiple trained observers. Something the military classified for decades. Something that still affects the witnesses today. Whether it was extraterrestrial, interdimensional, time-traveling, or something else entirely. The Rendlesham Forest Incident stands as one of the most credible UFO cases in history, and it remains unsolved, unexplained, open, because some questions don't have easy answers. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some experiences can only be lived, not explained, just experienced, remembered, carried, like Peniston carries those symbols, like Burroughs carries whatever changed his biology. Like Halt carries that recording and those memories. They remind us that the universe is stranger than we know. That on a cold December night in 1980, something reached out and touched humanity, left its mark, delivered its message, and disappeared back into the unknown, leaving only questions, evidence, witnesses, and the lingering possibility that we are not alone, that we have never been alone, that something is watching, waiting, guiding, for purposes we may never fully understand. This is Wartime Mysteries, where the shadows of history come alive, and some shadows never fully disappear. They just wait, in the forest, in the darkness, until the next contact, the next encounter, the next marking. Because if Rendlesham Forest teaches us anything, it's this. They can come back. They have come back, and they will come back. The question isn't if. The question is when, and who will they choose next? Thank you for watching, and remember, some truths are too disturbing to acknowledge, some evidence is too uncomfortable to accept, and some mysteries will haunt us forever. Good night, and keep watching the skies.